in announcing that we have in our midst Mr. Abhay Purohit, the President of Council of Architecture. I request him to please step on the stage, share his thoughts with us, and tell us how he found the Elevator World India Summit. Please, sir, can we please have him on stage amidst a round of applause?
Same old thing that keeps me keen, but I
Vande Mataram. Ladies and gentlemen, universal accessibility is one of the areas which Council of Architecture is looking at from the side of Government of India. And the initiatives which we are taking at present is that training the basically the auditors for the universal accessibility of all the public buildings in India. Now this is a sort of a very important aspect, because up till now this was something like legislation was there, but at the same point of time enforcing was not coming into picture. So Council of Architecture has been assigned with the responsibility of looking at this aspect, and we are training the auditors for the same. So in the days to come, the timeline which has been given to us is about 16 months, in which as such we should be capable of assessing all the buildings across India. Now when this kind of a scenario happens, it always means that we are talking about the safety, we are talking about the universal accessibility, we are talking about the well-being of all the occupants. And I think that syncs with what we are basically for which we have come together. So in the days to come, as such, my understanding is very, very clear that no buildings would remain unsafe. It is going to be for the ease of those who are occupying it, including physically challenged, including the old men. So it is sort of an all-inclusive thing which is going to happen. We are also we know, all of us, we know that the construction activities in India are going to increase many folds because of the policies, and we know what are the things which are happening around. And our anticipation and our calculations are telling us that this activity would be growing at the rate of about 1.5 times year on year. And this is going to be for these 3 decades, which are the next 3 decades. That is what is going to happen. And that essentially means that we require all sort of a very sophisticated technology in all fields of construction industry, of course, including the safety standards which we are going to take. So I'm happy to come here, see the stalls coming in, see that we do also have the Indian manufacturers along with our foreign collaborators, whereupon we are taking all the sort of right steps in the direction of achieving the accessibility criteria. So my best wishes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much being a part of this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for those encouraging words, sir. I would now like to invite Shinoz, the project manager for Smart Lift Mobility exhibition, to felicitate sir. Thank you for being a part of the summit, Mr. Purohit. We hope to learn a lot more from you. And with that, we are ready to proceed with our first panel discussion for This panel discussion revolves around the topic that is a matter of concern for all major industries, and the lifts and mobility solutions industry is no exception. Our panelists will discuss sustainable vertical growth, and the touch points for these would be energy efficiency, material selection and installation, challenges in integrating sustainable solutions, and much more. So I'm sure you all are looking forward for this session. May I please invite on stage Mr. V. Jagdish Kumar, Director and Principal Consultant, Avenir Elevator Consultancy, who will be moderating the session. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Jagdish, please? My first speaker for today is Ms. Spurti Kapoor, owner of Kapoor Architects. Under her leadership, Kapoor Architects is currently involved in individual, residential, apartment, commercial complex, institutional buildings, and many more. She is a visiting faculty at BVB College of Engineering at Hubli. Can we please have you on stage, Ms. Spurti? My next speaker is Mr. Manish Sikka, President ECE Elevators. A visionary leader with proven track record of driving organizational turnaround and change management, Mr. Sikka is a result-oriented, forward-thinking and proactive senior executive with demonstrated record of maximizing market share and streamlining operations. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Sikka? My next speaker is Mr. Sundarajan Shankar, Managing Director, PAPL Corp. He is a veteran in the vertical transportation industry with over 35 years of rich experience. He has worked with industry majors in India, Bahrain, and UAE. Having been associated with some iconic projects involving multiple high-speed elevators, he has hands-on experience in providing design details to the design fraternity. Thank you for joining us today, sir. And my final speaker is Mr. Rajesh Baivar, who is responsible for new business solution operations for Kone in India as Director, New Building Solutions. Mr. Rajesh is Director, New Building Solutions, managing frontline business operations for Kone in India and SARC. He has extensive experience of business operations of 25 years with multinationals and has completed leadership and management programs at NCED France. Welcome to this panel, sir. And I would finally like to call Mr. Kalyan, Head Design, Phoenix Group, to join the panel discussion.
Once again. Good morning to the audience, and nice to see that we have a very exciting mix of panel with architects, elevator company manufacturers representing, and builders and developers. And hopefully this will be a very informative panel discussion we'll have on sustainable vertical growth. So to start with, I would like to go to Mr. Rajesh Baivar. Just check on the topic of our panel discussion, sustainable vertical growth. So Rajesh, in the coming decade, how do you think the vertical growth and urbanization is going to be in the next 10 years? Which are the sectors in real estate should we be looking forward to in terms of sustainable vertical growth?
So thank you, Mr. Jagdish, for inviting me. To start with, I will start with urbanization growth. After pandemic, when we just came out of pandemic, India's urbanization was around 34%, but last 3 years we are already seeing it the horizon. Today my assessment is it will be around 38%. But still, if you compare the developed countries, rather let us keep developed countries aside. If we benchmark China, our big neighbor, they are operating at 60%. So headroom is very, very big. Some numbers, we have seen that today real estate industry is $200 billion. And many government papers say that it will no time reach $1 trillion. So it is rampant growth is definitely expected. And though to just as a first thought, it is a sign of excitement for us, but it's a sign of big worry because of the word you mentioned, sustainable growth we have to ensure. And to me, this sustainable growth is going to be a big challenge because rampant growth, that too sustainable, managing both is going to be a tough ask in front of all of us. When we say sustainability, first thought come in our mind is environment. But in our Kone terminology, sustainability is a very broadened definition. We first start from safety. Whatever is not safe is not sustainable. So the managing safety with this rampant growth is going to be a challenge in front of all of us. After safety, definitely comes energy efficiency. Then comes safety, quality, and diversity, equity, inclusion. So this broadened definition encompasses what we say sustainability in Kone. Now on safety part, there is a very good development. We are coming out with new standard in India, which we know ISO 17900. When that standard is deployed, there will be a lot of safety things. Doors strength have been redefined. Then there is the inclusion of fire evacuation elevator, which was not part of earlier standards. So that is going to be a big change for us. And then it also talks about the safety of the control and wire, passerelle technologies. And then it also talks about how we manage our lighting. So these are the key directions we are seeing in. So all in all, Jagdish ji, I see lot of digitalization coming up. Earlier presentation we saw excellent presentation from Bhadresh. Digitalization he talked about, but digitalization, how we are able to influence energy consumption, ease of usage, and another aspect of safety is protecting privacy. So that also is going to be in the work. So all in all, very exciting time, great growth with not only volume growth, technology growth, and right journey in sustainable direction. Thank you.
Thanks, Rajesh, for the positive outlook you have set. So, Manish, on the same question, like how do you foresee the vertical growth sustainably and urbanization going to be, and what sectors of real estate should we look forward to in the next decade?
I'll take it forward from what Rajesh mentioned. Sustainability is, urbanization is a reality facing us. But I'll try and answer your second question, which is around the sectors of growth. A few sectors that come to my mind, first of all, is infra. We see what's happening around the road, highways. There's a lot of transport centers activity around infra that is happening, whether it's airports, metros, railway modernization centers. We also, that's number one, hospitals are there from the infra side. The other sector that I see is IT, ITES, KPO, BPO driving the commercial creation and absorption. Number three, I see a lot of, I hope and pray that urbanization spreads beyond the metros and goes to smaller cities as we saw in post-COVID times. I hope that continues basis the economic policies the government is doing currently. The fourth area I see is a lot of major redevelopment that is happening in metros like Mumbai, which will bring in vertical growth. Tourism is another place where we are seeing new hotspots of tourism coming up, and that is another sector that I see growing. So my take is there is, as Rajesh said, a lot of headwind on urbanization. My hope is that it spreads beyond the few centers and the few cities that we are seeing it happening right now.
Thanks, Manish. So, Shankar, you come from the most vibrant growth part geographically in the globe, that is Dubai. So, when you look at sustainable vertical growth in a place like Dubai, how do you see the, maybe we can have a global perspective from you.
Thank you, Jagdish. Before I start, let me congratulate Raghu, Anita and the team Elevator World India for organizing the first of its kind Smart Left Mobility Expo for the component people. And of course, I have seen that a lot of elevator, what I would say, stalwarts who have mentored and facilitated this program. And yesterday was in fact a fantastic day when I could see a lot of people coming around. Today I think it must be more being the weekend. Well, when it comes to the vertical growth, I can share my experience from Dubai point of view, where I've been living for the last 22 years. I moved to Dubai in 2002 when the construction industry was very much in the nascent stage, not much of high-rise buildings, land was in abundance, and they could go horizontally with villas, low and mid-rise buildings. I have seen the boom which started in 2004 when the real concept of high-rise buildings came in. What I mean by high-rise is anything with 40 plus floors with a travel height of 150 meters, which is, I think, at the moment it's happening in India, but earlier it was not much. Because when the boom started, a lot of regional headquarters of banks and other organizations, they moved their headquarters to Dubai from Bahrain where they were earlier. And so the requirement came in. And vertical growth, in my opinion, it is there to stay for the simple reason, with a smaller footprint, you are able to accommodate more people, if you ask that. And that is a great thing. And high-rise buildings are adding to the skyline of the area. And higher you go, you better get a better quality of air and a beautiful view of the neighborhood. As a VT consultant now, I am having the privilege of designing for vertical high-rise buildings in Dubai, giving them the details and design of what is the best option that's possible. So I can tell with conviction that vertical growth is there to stay. And thanks to people like Kone who are investing a lot of money and knowledge in developing products for high-rise and ultra-high buildings. As I could see the lightweight rope what you are designing and all other specific components which can help the. Now we are not talking about high-rise buildings in Middle East, we are talking about ultra-high-rise buildings. The project that is being announced in Saudi Arabia, the NEOM, on the line, they are talking about a 1 kilometer building, which is going to be taller than the Burj Khalifa, which is 740 meters as of now. So ultra-high-rise buildings is what we are looking at in the future, and I am sure it will stay.
Thanks, Shankar.
Thanks, Jagdish.
Spurti, as an architect, so when we say sustainable vertical growth, elevators are like building lifelines. So what do you expect from elevator companies in terms of supporting sustainable vertical growth?
Yes. Thank you very much for inviting me. As an architect, when I think about lift, usually for very huge companies or corporates, they go for the branded one. That is for the sure. But when we talk about middle scale or the lower middle scale projects, there comes the matter of costing. So whenever the builder, it can be a mid-size or the lower mid-size builder, when he take a quote from any lift company, he always look at the price matter. That is why what I observed that there is a huge growth of unsustainable manufacturing of lifts, and there is no safety factor, and there is no R&Ds happening. So because of that, there is, the client is not understanding the AI generation or the R&D products of the lift, and they are going haywire about it, and they are opting for unbranded or which is not with a safety regard. So this is my take on all the lift companies. Now AI has come, people are using for the board exam also. Like, one of my client yesterday, he put all the previous year's exam paper in the AI system, chat GPT, and probable questions, what could be, in the upcoming exams they could ask. So why not, like, major lift companies, why don't you take the help of AI and come up with for the solution for the mid-size projects also. Then it will reach to every segment of society. That is very much is required when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about the cost effectiveness and those all things. If you come up with such kind of progressive steps towards that, it will happen in India.
Thanks, Purti. So, Mr. Kalyan, you represent Phoenix, which is one of the largest developers this part of the country, and you will be procuring lot of elevators annually. And on sustainable vertical growth, what are your expectations from the elevator companies?
Thank you. Good morning to all, and thanks for inviting me for the event, and being part of this session is definitely a privilege. Coming to the question, straight on to the point, for me, sustainability is something which can sustain long, and it is about reuse, replace, or you can actually transform the material into a different thing, or you can get a better use of a material if you can get in any form of a product. That is something which is more sustainable, where you don't have to put more onto your scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3 emissions of any product in terms of its manufacturing. Coming to the product which is onto the left, what we are discussing, here what I see is every aspect of the development, right from the pre-construction to post-construction, or even at the conceptual stage, what I strongly feel is the sustainable development should get inculcated as a holistic approach of a development. What happens is, right at the start, and everybody will agree with me that there are two aspects, as Ms. Pooty was mentioning. One is about a segment which is about middle and a segment which comes in urban, semi-urban or probably rural areas. But there's an urban segment which is there. So first I'll tell about the urban segment and then go to the other one. So the urban segment, when you actually develop a building, the primary focus always rotates onto your lift core. The core is what it defines the development. So undoubtedly that is something which you have to develop and understand how it gets integrated both horizontally and vertically, and how fast you can actually transport the people. And I also echo with Mr. Brijesh, who was mentioning in his presentation, anything which goes up should also come down. So what we need to see is anything which has been planned up to go up should also be planned up to go down in the same fashion and the same efficiency what it gets in. So today, with the kind of growth or the development which is happening, it is become an inevitable or a mandate to the industry to create solutions in such a way to understand the growth at which it is happening. Today we are talking about buildings, about 50-story building as a standard minimum structure in terms of its configurations, which was not the case probably 7-10 years back. So the overall perspective thought about how we are looking at industry, that need to be looked at. So there was also always thought in mind that why elevator companies are still not thinking about having lifts which higher capacity are developed in India. We are still taking you from the international market, and we have higher lead times. We are always dependent on drives, this, that, and all. So this is a time that we have to make mandate to have such thing which is manufactured in India, and this is to the industry. So coming to the other aspects which is on the rural or probably semi-urban, that is also an aspect where I definitely echo with your understanding that there's a lot of analysis is there today. The data is what it drives the entire development. Today we have such a data available, the product specifications can be customized to the requirement. So the Apple, in terms of its phone, there was always a debate saying that Apple cannot have a charger which is for different make you can use it. Now it has made it, you have to make it a universal and they have to bend down. So the market is going there. So there will be amount of a competition which is going to come in. But yes, collectively we need to see that we should have a universal approach towards equipment manufacturing, where if space comes in, then you should be able to pick it up from anyone and still get the work done. And it is prevalent in the market still. Even today, there is a prevalent in the market that there are lift manufacturers who actually service the other lifts which are being developed. So it will, in coming years, it is going to go much and much onto this direction. So as a developer for us, is to understand the overall perspective and try to fit in to that exact requirement what my project needs with a minimal, I won't say minimal, but I'm saying it's a most effective design and more effective cost onto the project is where it fits into our understanding of sustainability on lift. This is my take. Thank you.
Thanks, Kalyan. So Rajesh ji, the other thing is, as a leading lift manufacturer, how do you think you are keeping your products market fresh or current to the requirements?
Yeah. So Jagdish ji, first I would like to respond to Ms. Purti, and she talked about AI for the mid-size elevators. So the process is on. Already we have got a product called as 24/7 connected services, which, and there are other solutions also available in the market. But as requirement goes, the cost will definitely come down over the period. And this is really an intelligent system wherein you don't have to worry. Your elevator is monitored 24/7 200 parameters we monitor, and based on the trigger comes based on the urgency. If it is entrapment, immediate rush, technician will rush. So that is already in the market, we are giving that. Second is we are coming up with the state-of-the-art controllers now, which can be hooked up directly by any company. Suppose you have any facility management BMS company, you don't have to have any interface. So those technologies are coming in the market, and those will be available for mid-range and low-range elevator also. But it will take at least in a year's time, but definitely journey is towards that direction. Secondly, I would like to respond to Kalyan. Up to 4 meter per second, we not only Kone, others are also, they are manufacturing elevators in India. More than that, again, it's, let me be honest, egg and chicken story. Because, for example, 6 MPS, China market is big boom. Here in India, probably market for 6 MPS is not more than 40 to 50 units per annum. So again, that's we have to see margin calls, and if number of elevators increases, definitely our motto is to make in India. For instance, Kone is the only company we are making machines in India. And not only here, let me proudly say we export to US from here. So far we have exported 20,000 machines make in India for US elevators. So there is already there. And again a proud story, 2 days back we dispatched first make in India escalator also. So the journey is in that direction. We want to make everything in India and export also. Coming to your question now, making market fresh. So first is, let me honestly tell you, first when you say fresh, first impression goes how a elevator interior looks. So first emphasis is on making interior fresh. We came up with eye refresh finishes, and we have something also on the anvil. By year end you will come, which is an immersive experience of interior, which will be enlightening to architects. That technology, we call it as a magic mirror and Aurora car. Those are the designs which, and I'm sure other competition will also be coming. So this is one direction to keep it market fresh. Second thing is digital compatibility with your systems. So that digital friendly elevator we should launch, and we already got our partners. If you happen to get a time and visit our stall here, with Radius, we have put one solution in the stall, how we can seamlessly integrate with other partners. Because tomorrow's digital world, we cannot be in silos. We should be integrate friendly, yet be safe. So the direction is in the same direction. So digital seamless connectivity, make privacy intact, yet provide safe solution, energy efficient solution. This is the direction, and that's how we can keep our product fresh. I hope I answered your question, sir.
So Manish, I would like you to add on question what Rajesh answered.
Yeah, thanks. For me, market freshness is around two facets of how we look at it. One is the intent and the two is the ability. With respect to intent, what we do is we look at forums like these to connect with stakeholders in the industry to understand their unmet needs. I mean, it starts from there. We also create forums where we go and connect with the stakeholders to understand their future needs. That's one part. We have a very unique program running in our company that is called the Mera Sujhav Meri Company. This is a portal that is accessible to all employees in this organization, where anybody in the front line can give us sujhavs. And these sujhavs are a reflection, for those who don't understand Hindi, sujhavs is suggestions. And so these sujhavs and suggestions come from the front line, who are the ambassadors who connect with our customers. It's a portal which is live. The sujhavs go right up to the top. Every sujhav is acted upon, and employees can see what is happening on those sujhavs, including they can give feedbacks on these suggestions which are implemented. Now these are ways and means on the intent side, but the ideating being one part, the Mera Sujhav Meri Company portal is also extended now to all stakeholders, which includes customers, vendors, subcontractors, suppliers, through our webpage. This is a churning of ideas. To work on these with respect to actions, being an Indian company, with almost 85% localization content right now, with an aim to be about 95% by the end of next year. We have a new product development and innovation incubator where we are working on these aspects. And I can share our experience. I mean, we are one of the oldest elevator companies in India. And we were kind of left high and dry when the foreign collaborations dried up and we were not ready with technology. So we have all the real experience of what happens when you don't create and innovate. And there is a lot of focus on action with respect to that. So that is where the ability part is being brought up, and I'll be very happy to share with you. I've been part of some of the MNCs and I've been to their global workstations where I've seen a lot of Indians creating the technology that we are using and they boast of. And that is where I realized there is a huge uptake on what we can do here in India. So there is a lot of focus on connecting with the market. That is where the intent comes from. Know the unmet needs and work on it, which is where the ability is being created within an Indian company. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. So, Ms. Purti, on sustainable vertical growth, when you're talking of sustainability, how important do you think are green buildings and the way our country is moving forward in terms of green buildings? What do you think should be the way forward?
I have a two take on this. One, the highly impacted projects can happen when highly impacted client will be there with a highly impact vision. It doesn't happen only with architects or the consultants. So with education, with a right direction, definitely we can achieve. And to do that, when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about nation building, it has to start from younger generation. When companies, Indian or the multinational companies, if they collaborate with education institute to talk on the sustainability, on the vertical growth, how the lift industry is growing, they will, they will involve those things while from the beginning of their practice. So this is the first take I would like to mention, and I strongly feel that is a good the progress if we think in this direction. Second one, we always talk on manufacturing and the product and their sustainability, their green rating, all those things. We have to think about the stakeholder involvement and those who involve in yearly maintenance, like a technician. They has to be certified technicians and they have to educate their client about the safety factor. Many a times the technician who have come, I don't know with the bigger companies, but many of them are not certified technicians. So that is also one main aspect regarding the safety and the sustainable part. Rest other part, like we touched upon, and I think these two are very, very strong points we can consider and we can take it further.
Thanks. Mr. Kalyan, so on green buildings, what's your take and how important are green buildings to ensure sustainable vertical growth?
Green building is one of the industry and which is the largest industry which drives the entire economy. So any effort or anything which is done in the effort of sustainability in the largest sector certainly will make a larger impact onto the overall economy. So buildings as a sustainability, one is about the material, second is the technology, third is about the constructability. If these three are something which have been taken care, so majorly the aspect of sustainability brings in better. And green buildings, today it has become like a synonymous. So buildings have become mandate synonymous for green building because there's a lot of encouragement from the government, lot of learning curve which has already got in, and building practices have already started getting as a minimum requirements which are coming into the green buildings. Like when we started evaluating our buildings, and not even reviewed for a, sustainability aspect. When we started, we as an organization are a founder member of IGBC, and we said like we will have all our buildings maintained as platinum rated. So we started evaluating our projects, and the projects, by virtue of the consultant approach towards the project, I've already met to 95% of its efficiency requirements. There's a fine tuning which was required on a prescriptive approach by sustainability measures part of IGBC, and which we were able to meet. But that is just one standard reference as a benchmark. But we have to keep optimizing further onto it, how best we can bring in. So certainly elevators, it also consumes power, although it doesn't consume extremely high power when compared to the other systems which are HVAC and electricity in terms of power, raw power and all. But yes, there is also a considerable amount of a chunk, and having energy efficient approach onto the design is certainly going to be a better thing. The other thing which I've seen is in terms of optimizing the design, traffic analysis, which majority of the times we have seen that the reports of consultant to that of the manufacturer, sometimes we see a gap. That unification, if it can be modern, so the overall development can be much more efficient, and it can be given a better this thing. So as such, my take on buildings as a green building, 100% as a industry, it is definitely going to bring in a larger impact on the overall economy. Thank you.
Thanks, Kalyan. So, Shankar, we spoke about green buildings, but what's your take on the need for energy efficient elevators?
Well, as the complete panelist said, energy efficiency is the one which is being spoken about very seriously. And when we talk about high-rise buildings, we always have the facility of regeneration, where you generate the power and then feed it back to the bus bar, which is definitely a thing which is saving on the power, though indirectly. And as I am looking at high-rise and ultra-high-rise buildings, definitely this green concept is a must.
Thank you. My last question to both Rajesh and Manish is national lift policy, because we have all spoken about the need for safety in elevators. Is national lift policy is need of the hour?
Yeah, this has been a long discussion, and from association side, and Manish ji knows it, we have been lobbying it for national safety code all across India. Today the situation is, out of all states, only 12 states, and I am hearing now UP will be 13th one, will have a elevator safety code, wherein they really enforcing act is there. Otherwise, we have a standard, we specifies safety norms, but enforcement is happening or not, in many of the state it is in disarray. And that's the basically concern which keeps us awake at night, because there is no lift inspector, no formal license is given, and then it's a very difficult thing. So it is more than said, National Lift Safety Act is required. We are pushing for it. And here I take this forum to request you also, other agencies, consultant, architect, and even reputed developers like Phoenix, to support us to get this all across India. So it is more than said, National Safety Code is required.
So, as Rajesh said, absolutely it's a must. Uniform lift code across India. Today we have, as Rajesh said, some states having codes, and there could be a little difference between them. But for me it's important, and as an association we are working with the government, requesting them. They understand, but no action is happening at the moment. Hope to see a national uniform lift code. But for me, it's not just about the code. There has been a code in existence in India since the time we started elevatoring here. It's more about the implementation, including in states where it is. And I'll give you an example of my own house. I stay in that house. I've been there for 18 years. It's just a 5-floor building. After 12 years, I realized, despite having a lift license, the elevator had no safety gear. I had to replace that elevator. Now, if that is the case in a place like Delhi, which is covered under the lift inspectorate, should we not question the kind of enforcement? So my take is, the first step is about the uniform lift code, but the more important step is about how are we going to enforce it. Yes, this forum can be an outreach, and we do many such forums where we go and talk about, and me and Rajesh and other people have been in this association meetings discussing this for a long time. But in that association meeting, we have 5 or 6 people repeatedly being present. I mean, India is a 100,000 elevator market. 50,000 or 60,000 of that is represented by, as Priti said, the branded companies, inverted commas. But where are the other 40,000? How do we bring them on board? How do we raise the conscience of those people? So I guess a lot of awareness needs to be built up, and there must be another aspect that needs to come in, and we should also bring in this element of sustainability, is around the life cycle of the product itself. Today, many will agree that the life cycle of the product is coming down, and we are talking about sustainability. How does sustainability, as Kalyan said, optimal designs? He's right. I've been an elevator consultant, I've been a lift manufacturer, I've been a lift designer, and I see that you give same inputs to 5 people, you get 5 different outputs. How do you make an optimal design? Who's right? So optimal designs, some element of life cycle definition, and implementation of these codes will bring in sustainability in the true sense. Otherwise, we are going down a path where it's all looks good, but is not good.
Yeah.
So on traffic analysis and all, most of the consultants also rely upon Gina Bani as a reference point. So why don't we have one? And certainly your question for unified code certainly mandates here that we should not start referring Gina Bani, but then we should have a reference point for India, and that should be the case of start point for sustainability.
Hopefully we'll have it.
Sorry, but I have one clarification if I can. National code exists. It is IS 17. What we have, as you rightly put, Manishji, is enforcing act is not there. Only 12 state has enforcing act, and balance code is there, but enforcing nobody is saying, as Manishji rightly mentioned. So that's a point.
Yeah. Obviously, the industry has to come together as a whole on one word. So thanks a lot. It was a very informative discussion. Rajeshji, you spoke about the growth opportunity, immense growth opportunity what we have. But is the growth opportunity, if it is rapid, is it sustainable? How do we make it sustainable? And you also spoke about the safety being the number one part of importance, and energy efficiency. And you also touched upon the latest smart lifts like innovation, Internet of Things, dynamic interiors, digitalization, and of course the need for national lift policy. Manish, you spoke about the growth which sectors which happening are infrastructure sector, which includes airports, metros, IT, BPO, and a very interesting point what your company is doing, that employee Sujav or the suggestion scheme, where the people who are connected with the customers are coming to the company and telling that this is the need of the hour. And the need for national lift policy you stressed upon, and the importance thing to be done is the government intervention, and more than the national lift policy being in place, the implementation and need for implementation is the most important thing. Shankar, thanks. You gave the perspective of how things happen on sustainable vertical growth in places like Dubai. And a very important thing on vertical growth, what you mentioned is that in a smaller footprint, we are able to accommodate larger groups of people. Ms. Purti, you spoke about unsafe, unbranded lift vendors, which again is linked directly to a national lift policy, which in place can curb that clearly. And need for AI interface for mid-size projects. And you nicely put that, high impact, anything should be created. So the need for a client and vision which has high impact, which will obviously have a high impact result. And Mr. Kalyan, you nicely put across the sustainable practices what you have been doing as a developer in Phoenix, and integration of horizontal and vertical efficient people flow is what you spoke about, and need for larger lifts to be manufactured in India, so that of course I am sure the industry has heard the need and they will soon come with a solution for that. And green buildings, how they are need for our. Now I open the for the audience. You can ask your questions to the esteemed panel.
Hi, this is Sudesh here. I would like to give a user's perspective because I've heard about the real estate, the brand, the architect side as well. So I'm one of the, from the end user perspective, I've used, Kone, as one of the lifts that, is a provider for my apartment in Bangalore currently and in Delhi as well. There's one challenge which we are facing from the apartment association point of view. I'm part of a large apartment in Bangalore. And the challenge that we are facing is, our elevator, for example, is more than 10 years old, right? The way the association, works with the company's, service provider, right? So Kone, for example, is the provider. So we have a regular preventive maintenance and things like that. So our elevator, for example, is very old, right? So obviously, issues will start, cropping up as we enter into 10th year or so. So that is one of the big, challenge we are facing, the use of technology. I know about the connected services and things like that. We are trying to work with Kone. We have been, trying to do, whatever from our association point of view, right? But one challenge we are facing is we feel like we are locked into, one vendor. And for example, if I want to go to an Otis or a to EC, sir, spoke about it. So it's very, very, there's just about very small percentage of scope that we can even venture, beyond, Kone, or if I'm an Otis, I'll go to a Kone, because as rightly mentioned, there is no standardization of products and, equipments and things like that. But as a user, so this was my perspective. I just, I'm not sure whether my question is right for this forum or not. But I use your lift day in and day out, and the challenge is the communication that happens from the apartment association. We also work with a facility management company, right? We work with a very leading facility management company, and the way the communication happens between the facility management company, through Kone or any vendor for that matter, and us as an association, there is a lot of gap. Who reports the issue? For example, if there is an incident which happens inside an apartment, who reports, where that information goes, whether that data is being captured or not. So is there any AI or, I heard about that AI thing as well. So I just thought, this is just an observation, not a question. If somebody can help address, user perspective as well.
Would you want Kone to answer this question or anybody can? I'll keep it easy for him. Or you want to go first?
Yeah, I can answer this question. But first part is about coordination and what to happen. I think Jagdish ji on the panel as an elevator consultant, he can guide you in a neutral way. That's what I would recommend. But as far as Kone is concerned, firstly about emergencies, there is a toll-free number. You have to dial there only, and then you will get fastest response. Because intermediate, if you go to facility management, there is the time lag and loss of information, and there is some miscommunication also. Directly on that toll-free number, everybody has got it, like EC also got. You dial there and get response. Coming to your second problem is a little complex problem. Probably your concern is mainly emanating out of the pricing, what probably Kone is charging for maintenance or for modernization. So unfortunately, today in India, let me be very vocal, we do not have very strong competition law wherein you can explore and everybody can use and maintain everybody's elevator, and everybody is obligated to share their component at the acceptable market price. So there is a journey to go towards it. What happens, this maintenance business still remains to be a very protected business for the companies. So till the time, I think you have to, if you have Kone elevator, had it been a EC elevator, I would have recommended you go with him. Still, since you have Kone, it is better to go with us. Because You will go outside, again if you want to come back, there will be a replacement of material, it will be more hassles. From my experience I am telling you. But if it is a communication issue, pricing issue, maybe we can discuss after this session. My colleague Murli is also here from modernization. He can advise you, and it is a short circuit now. Nobody is between, he makes a decision for modernization. So that we can support you. But your point is right. For maintaining anybody's elevator, still India has a long way to go. And as our laws get stronger, I think we will also evolve and get matured. That is the answer. Sikhat?
I can add, I'll just put on a hat of Jagdish as a consultant, because my take is in the future this is going to change. First of all, our industry lacks a lot of transparency. And my take is in EC, as he said, you don't have to dial in, you just have to press a button and the app takes you and connects you to what needs to happen. And the system then takes over. So there's a lot of transparency that can be built in by using smart systems that can be deployed not just internally within the company, but also be given to the facility managers. So that there is a clear approach of how to handle things. That, I think, is a step forward. Some companies take it as a value add. As Rajesh said, services are there available and it's going to get more and more usable. In case of EC, we do it as a standard. So every elevator we deploy is connected, it's IoT enabled, and we give those systems to the facility heads. Also with smart brand agnostic solutions, IoT based, that are coming in, we see this in Europe. The OEMs don't really maintain all their elevators. It's not the fraction of the installed base that they maintain is far lower than what we see in India. In India, typically, you have hardly any choice. You have fly-by-night operators or you go to the OEM. And it's typically elevator companies are driven by profitability from the AMCs, so you know where it is coming from. But as competition comes in, as brand agnostic systems come in, there will be change. At the moment, my take is the facility management and the OEM needs to work very closely and, more importantly, very transparently.
Yeah, I'm Balakrishnan from L&T, Larsen and Toubro. So just to add on to this points, if lift industry team can look at specifying how much is the life of the lift. I think that's where the problem starts for the association. Something which can be included in cloud or some other way. I think it could be one of the way out. It should be recommended in the code or something. I mean, life cycle analysis, we unfortunately don't do for any component in India. So that is one area which is coming in sustainability part. Probably we should be looked into the lifts as well. That is one suggestion. And I have one question to Mr. Shankar. You said regenerative thing. How effectively it is being used? It is for all the lift industry people also. Are we able to really use that? Have we implemented in India or abroad? Probably abroad it will be before.
Well, I am talking about my experience in the Middle East only.
Yeah.
And regen is something which has been there for a very long time, but only now people have started understanding the advantage of really using it. In most of the high-rise buildings in Dubai, regen is being provided as a standard, as a part of the elevator itself.
Yeah, they are providing it, but is the builder is the using it?
Yes, they are using it. Pushing it back to the bus bar and they are using for the building electricity.
Okay, that will. How about in India, whether it's being implemented?
Bala, thank you for your suggestion. I think absolutely a definitive point. We see life cycle deteriorating in India and the codes don't talk about it right now. So there's something that the industry must pick up and work. As far as regeneration is concerned, it's something that is practical when you do beyond a certain rise. 60 meters plus, typically it kicks in. And this has to be designed at the time of planning itself so that the feeder circuits can take it back. It's how do you use this regeneration? So practically in India, you don't have those kind of buildings currently, but it's now coming in, and regenerative drives will make an impact beyond a certain rise. But in low-rise buildings, I see it being sold. Sorry, it's not being used.
Thank you. Thank you so much, panelists. That was enough food for thought for
Just
all
one,
of us.
just hold on.
Okay.
For the, in India, for, as you mentioned, mid-rise and high-rise region we are giving, and it is in definitely functional. The challenge for low-rise elevators is, it is not giving you that benefit, because the load is less and travel is at low speed is so less that you buy a region drive and then you don't get benefit out of it. So if you want really a good payback for mid-rise and high-rise, as he mentioned, is more viable.
Yeah, thank you all for nice inputs. Thank you.
Thank you. May I request the speakers to step forward as we'd like to present you with mementos. May I please have Anita ma'am on stage? Requesting all the speakers to step forward for a photo opportunity. So we'd like to have a group picture. Thank you so much. That was a very thought-provoking and challenging topic, and the speakers have done it ample justice. Thank you.